Hey everyone, welcome to Private Club Radio. I'm your host, Denny Corby. In this episode, we get to chat with another friend of mine, Shanna Bright. Some of you may or may not know Shanna from Private Clubs Online, where ideas, strategies, tools, and resources are shared with you to help enrich your club culture, foster member connections, and most importantly, as we all love, drive revenue. But we learn a little bit more about Shanna, how she began her career in the private club world as the member relations director over at the City Club of LA. Ooh, she bougie. She's presented at CMAA conference, speaks to CMAA chapters, and does work outside the CMAA. But this is an inside chat with Shanna Bright of Private Clubs Online.
Did you want to share how we met and the story that I told you when we had our first conversation?
Go ahead.
As many of the listeners probably remember, in 2020, whatever, it feels like it was 10 years ago already, Lynn LaFon DeLuca of the Association of Club Catering and Event Professionals, we're old Club Corp buddies. So when I was working at City Club Los Angeles, she was at Braemar Country Club. So we in the Western region, collaborated a lot and were the trailblazers of Club Corp at the time. Anyway, so we put together the Friday Forum, what ended up being the Friday Forum in 2020. And every week we had private club pros get on to our webinar and we were sharing ideas. We had kind of like this living document of resources and information and event ideas and, and then we'd share like best practices and look what this club is doing. And it was really, I think as much as it was helpful for clubs, it was super helpful for Lynn and I to kind of just get through and, get everybody through the pandemic. And at one point, very early on in our conversations, somebody said, a great resource is Denny Corby. You've got to have Denny Corby do a virtual magic show for your club. And so we're like, great, and the couple people chimed in the chat, Denny Corby is awesome. And so we put that on our living document. Denny Corby was a resource. And so it was literally like probably every week from June and through December. Who used Denny Corby this week? Did anybody book Denny Corby? I practically every week mentioned Denny Corby. And you and I Lynn had never met you. I had never met you. And then it wasn't until this year when Sean at Members First connected us or I think you were, coming on as the brand new host of Private Club Radio. And I said, oh God, I got to reach out or whatever, however we ended up connecting. Finally told you that story 3 years later. We mentioned you every week. I feel like I know you.
I had a love-hate relationship with the West Coast because very fortunate, pandemic, I did virtual shows and pivoted, but I'd be doing shows from sometimes 2, 3 in the afternoon Eastern till 12, 1 in the morning. Because there, it'd be like the corporate after hours things and like this and that. And I'm
right.
Like, so communication directors.
Yeah.
What's so important about them? Why should we care?
So how much time do you have, Denny?
18 minutes and 75 seconds.
So one of the things that I think with clubs, and in fact, I just talked with someone who they don't have a communication director in their club. And their general manager doesn't feel it's really necessary. And what I always feel like with clubs is that we spend so much time planning and preparing for every other department, right? We go through a budgeting process. We go through a strategy process. We have strategic plans for the board. But nobody spends that kind of time around the member communication. And it is, as I always say and kind of open most of my webinars, is that it is a key component of the total member experience. So when a member is joining the club, we are promising them the world. You are going to have the best time of your life, right, at this club. And you're going to be able to experience this and do that and whatever. And we're going to exceed your expectations and la, 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 right? And then what do? We pile on the emails in their inbox. They're receiving 5 emails a day at some clubs, or, inconsistent, posts on Instagram. They never know what's happening, or they tune out because it's just too overwhelming. And so it's the one area where if members aren't receiving good, effective communication, they're not connected to the club. And, the reverse is that when members are experiencing on the receiving end, they are on the receiving end of strategic, effective communication in the club. They're more connected to the club. Because they're more connected, they're more involved with the programs and events and anything that the club wants the members to participate in. They're golfing more, they're playing tennis more, or pickleball, or they're at the events, or they're just dining, or whatever you've got going on at your club. And those members, the more involved and active members, are the members who stay and spend and sponsor new members and grow the club and enrich the club culture. And so that all starts, we can bring that back to effective communication. And so I would love for every club to just realize the importance of good, effective, connected member communication, where members feel the same level of experience in their email, in their newsletter, in their, when they see the club on Instagram or Facebook or wherever on the app. They're experiencing the same level of satisfaction with the club as they do, when they're actually at the club through the communication. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Gotcha.
It's kind of disheartening that even in 2023, there are some clubs that don't have communication directors and don't focus, kind of like, we're good. We're okay. Or lump it under, oh, we'll just have that person do it. Whether, maybe it's an executive assistant or whatever, somebody who's not really, hate to say qualified, but not really qualified to build a strategic member communication plan. So I would love to see every club put a little more focus on communication and have a solid communication plan, because it will benefit their club greatly.
So I don't know, here I am, Joe Malone, general manager. I'm part of a club or I work for a club and just don't have the budget. Just cannot make having a communications person happen. What can clubs do? What can I do as like a club? Like, what steps could be made to at least fill that gap a little bit more? It's like, hey, listen, we know we can't, and we know we can't give it, 1,000%, but we can give it something. What's
Right.
that something?
So in that case, I think it's important to remember, so you may or may not have one person that is the gatekeeper and is the person who plans the strategy, who actually pushes the messaging across the variety of channels that the club is active on. But it's good to remember that communication is a team sport, as I like to say. Everyone in the club has a role in member communication. So if you're the golf pro or the tennis pro or the food and beverage director or the general manager or the catering director, you all have a target of goals that you're trying to reach, whether it be participation levels or revenue targets or whatever it is that you're trying to do in your department. And in order to meet those goals, you need to have members to do X, Y, or Z in order to be able to meet your department goals. Therefore, it is your job to create messaging that is relative to members to get them to participate in your department, whatever you're doing. So when we have a club that doesn't have like a communication director, then what we want to consider is, okay, everyone needs to be able to contribute their departmental messaging, whatever that might be for members. And there still needs to be a gatekeeper. it should be somebody who's more of a retention officer than a sales role. So I would say like a member relations director, if you have a member relations director, or member services, is the person that then takes all of that content and tweaks it a little bit and polishes it up and sends it across the variety of communication channels. We have to really kind of change that language of, oh, that's not my job. It's everyone's job. Communication with members is everyone's job, because we need our members to do something in order to achieve our departmental goals. We want them to be more involved in the club. And certainly the golf pro doesn't want the catering director to talk about golf tips, right? Or chef doesn't want the tennis pro to talk about how to, julienne some carrots. So,
unless they happen to be really
that's
good
their
at
specialty,
it. I mean,
right. Like they secretly have been to chef school. But yeah, so, having a little bit more of a team spirit around communication and making that, in our staff meetings and things like that, our weekly staff meetings, what's your message for next week? What do you want to put on Facebook? What do you want to put in the newsletter? Instead of having it be this burden, which I feel like a lot of department directors feel like it's a burden. Oh God, I've got to get that article for the newsletter. Oh God, I've got to get something for, Instagram. It shouldn't be a burden. You should be delighted to share what's going on in your department. You should be enthusiastic to tell members, what new benefit they can take advantage of, or what new amenity you're offering, pickleball or whatever, or introducing them to something new or what have you. So, that's why I like to say communication is a team sport, because especially in the clubs, it is one person's job to kind of be the gatekeeper and to manage the communication. But it is definitely everyone's job to contribute to the overall messaging.
Are there any good like softwares or tools or apps that are good for people to use? Whether you're a solo person doing it yourself, a whole, communications director, are there just cool like tips and like cool apps or anything, softwares out there that can really help save time for people?
Yeah, one, Canva is always a great tool to produce content, produce flyers, produce video. You can drop in your own photos and videos. You can use some of their stock images, which actually are not too bad. I mean, some of the sites have really horrible stuff.
No.
Footage and it's bad, right? But Canva is actually pretty decent. I always recommend that the club use their own photos. You want it to look and feel like the club, so use your own photos. But Canva's pretty good in terms of content creation. And then I like to use Later. Later's a great scheduling tool. It gives you some analytics. You can, do things through LinkedIn, through Facebook, through Instagram. On your professional site, of course, it has to be your business site. You can't have your club be a personal Instagram account. Another one that I've heard that clubs like to use is Monday, I think it's called. And then of course there's the Hootsuite and Buffer and Sprout Social and kind of the oldies but goodies that are still really super effective scheduling tools. But I think some of Hootsuite does it too. They have a lot of education around social media. I find that the Later media is kind of nice in the sense that I feel like they're really up on the trends. They really take the time to investigate things and kind of share a lot of news. So once you're on Later, they really kind of take care of you. So I like that.
Do you have like 3 steps to effective strategic member communication?
3 steps. Oh, if there were only 3 steps. I would say
I know.
Number 1 is your content. Your content is the foundation of your communication. You can schedule your life away if you want to, but if you have bad content, it doesn't matter what your strategy is. So content is the foundation of your communication. You have to have good content. So take the time to think about what happens in your club and kind of pick some categories of content I know that like batching your content and content columns or content categories are kind of a hot topic right now. But it is essential that you do that, kind of identify what's happening in your club and what are your pillars of content in your club. The other thing that I would say is, the scheduling and strategy. Strategize your communication in terms of, is this valuable, meaningful, relative content to our members? You know, where are they living currently? I guess that's kind of part of step 3, but in terms of strategy, also determining where do your members live? If you're constantly posting to Facebook and your members are living on Instagram, you are not going to connect with your members. If your members prefer a digital newsletter on the website, in the private section of the website, then by all means, produce a digital newsletter in the private section of the website. If your members tell you where they are living and where they want to receive content and communication from the club, then that's where you need to go. You don't want to force them to come to you to get their information, right? You need to deliver it to them. And then, I would say consistency and frequency is key as well. So content, strategy, and going where they live, meeting your members where they live online or in email or wherever their most active channels are. And then consistency and frequency. That's why a content plan is crucial, because you're planning your content in advance. It takes a little time on the front end to get everything together and to put it into that schedule. But then you're consistent with how you communicate with your members. And what that does, the consistency actually builds your members' habits in communicating and connecting with the club. If you send an email every Tuesday at 10 a.m., they're going to start to expect that you're going to send an email every Tuesday at 10 a.m. And by golly, they want that information. They're going to kind of be in their mailbox Tuesdays at 10 a.m. They're going to know that that comes. If it's sometimes on Wednesdays, sometimes on Fridays, sometimes on Thursday nights, then they never know when it's coming. So that consistency is actually more about creating member habits, connecting with the club, than it is just scheduling your content. So I think that's 3. I could go on for like probably 7 more steps, but I think those 3 are key, right?
Easily.
Those are key.
Well, I think 3 just sounds better than like 9. Okay, what are your 9 steps? I always laugh when it's like, really, you couldn't just make it 8 or 10.
Right.
Got to make it 9.
Well, 3 is the magic number, is it not? Right?
Yep.
Good things happen. All things happen in 3s. Or what's that phrase? What's that saying? Oh.
Everyone dies in 3s?
Well, not that one.
Oh, I think it's always just
number.
like
What's
3s.
That? Who sings that song? 3 is the magic number.
Isn't it like Barney or something?
3, it's a magic number. 3 peaches, 3 table legs. Oh gosh, I'll have to email you the who sings it. There's a song. 3 is the magic number. No, I'm gonna have to Google it or something. Let's see. 3 is the magic number. Yeah, it is a song, but you know what? It's Schoolhouse Rock. But then there's also a great Blind Melon. Blind Melon.
I told you. Oh, they sing No Rain.
Here. Okay, that's an advertisement. Hold on.
Oh, come on. Upgrade to that YouTube Premium.
Right? Come on. Oh, that's the Schoolhouse Rock one. Okay. Well, whatever. Anyway. I'm sure you won't use that video. You won't use that part.
Oh, I just have so many other uses for it that are just going through my head.
3 is magic number. But yeah, so 3 steps.
Gotcha. And you bougie. Like you came from the City Club of LA.
Yeah. I often put on my member relations director hat. It kind of has informed a lot of my positions over my career. I came out of the world of alumni relations before I stepped into member relations, which is a really good transition. So In alumni relations, you're bringing people together around a common experience. And then in member relations, you're creating that common experience in the club. And City Club LA was, I have to say, I'm really proud of the work that I did there. And I'm really proud of having worked for that club in particular. So I remember when I was interviewing for that, I saw the on monster.com like 500 years ago, right? I don't even know if monster.com is still active. Like, I guess that's still
You got a fax.
Like faxed my resume.
Fax.
But I saw the job posting and I thought, well, it's kind of along the lines of what I want to do. And so I kind of thought, private club, what is it? A bunch of old white dudes sitting around smoking cigars or what, And I went to the club and I had an interview and talked with the general manager and a few other department directors and whatever. And the general manager, who's my general manager, Larry, he said, well, you want to take a tour around the club? I'll show you the club. And it was kind of like maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock ish. So it was still kind of high lunchtime. And City Club Los Angeles is in downtown LA. So this is like a business, heavy business club. And
Club.
We walked through the dining room and it was so refreshing because it looked like Los Angeles. And for that, I could not have, that there's never been a history of discrimination at the club. That was not the Club Corp, way. And the founding board president, dear Walter Barron, he always likened the City Club to the watering hole in terms of, like in Africa, you've got animals that are out in the jungle and, have their various maybe battles or challenges or whatever. But at the end of the day, they can all come to the watering hole and find peace and harmony. And it was always just kind of how we viewed the club and kind of how we approached our marketing and, that kind of a thing. But we had so many great events. I mean, we, worked with consulate offices and, had so many international kind of events. And then, of course, the food and wine and all that was just so fantastic. And, we just had a ton of fun. It was a different era in private clubs. It was a different era with Club Corp in terms of the autonomy we had, and we just pioneered a lot of things and we kind of trailblazed through like different concepts and programs and things that we were able to do that I know now that Club Corp is invited. I know that's not, we would be getting in so much trouble with corporate policies probably, but we just had this philosophy, like, let's try anything, let's try it. Sure. Great. Yeah. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You move on to the next thing, so
you have to.
But yeah, it was, so in my role now as a consultant and still working with private clubs, I have that experience under my belt and I'm so appreciative of everyone's time and, their busy schedules. So, just a couple days ago, somebody said, oh gosh, I sorry, I'm not going to be able to make that call. I'm like, it's okay. It's all good. I know exactly, you walk into the office, you think your day is going to go one way and a member comes in your office and your day goes completely sideways. So, that's just the nature of private clubs, but that's what we love, right? No 2 days are the same.
And if they are,
something is wrong, really, really wrong. Yeah. So.
It's like when all the birds and animals start going away, it gets too quiet.
Like, right. Exactly. The kids, if anyone has kids and all of a sudden they can't hear their kids, they know that they're like, using magic marker on the walls or something.
I never understood that until I got a dog. It's the same thing, like a little too quiet.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you hear the pitter-patter.
Fortunately, my Phoebe, she loves to be right next to me. So she's not too far out of sight. So if she's quiet, it's just because she's sleeping. Or, if she's not quiet, then it's because she's having one of her weird doggy dreams where she's like, doing like weird noises or
Like
something.
the
She's
run
running a
buck.
marathon in her dreams. But yeah.
I was just going to ask you something else, but then I just got
I was
sidetracked
going to
with
say,
doggies.
was it about dogs or was it about dreams?
Maybe. No, it's definitely about dogs. I can't remember though.
Yeah.
It'll come back to me. It looks like you have Mickey Mouse
Oh,
ears
it
on.
does kind of with the globes, huh? I'll sit back a little bit. Then now I just look like I have Martian ears. I didn't think that through. Here, we'll
I've been
kind of
staring at
move
that the
over. No,
entire
that's
time.
now I'm not in the center of the screen. Oh, that's true. It does look like I have. Now I've got just.
Oh, just wait till this video comes out. It's going to be so good.
Oh, when I say I am tuned in, it has a, that I am in more ways than one. Who knew? You think those are globes. They're not really they're more than just a globe on my bookcase.
It's where you keep your tinfoil hats.
Right. Behind these books here. Yeah. Good storage.
Oh, I meant like inside the globe. You like crack them open.
Hey, I wasn't going to share that secret, but sure.
Why do you think I have that like box back there?
Right.
Boom.
Hats.
I
actually have, it's not in this room, but I actually have leave it to a member relations director, right? I don't know why I have, well, no, I know why, because when I lived in San Diego, I've lived in Oregon now for 4.5 years. And when I lived in San Diego, my niece, who was much younger at the time, she would come over for Lanaya and Auntie Shanna weekend extravaganza. That's what we would always have. And we loved to film videos. So I have a box full of like feather boas and leis and hats and, big glasses and all sorts of like props. And really it's because she and I used to film all these little silly videos. So it was really fun though. But so I still have them. I don't know why. Maybe I should have prepared better and, put on the big, goofy glasses or something. Like I said, once a member relations director, always a member relations director. You never know when you might need a flower relay or a feather boa.
Actually, the same can be said about magic too.
Do you travel everywhere with your prop box?
So I don't really have props. Like my props are like the audience. So I use like one or two tricks, like a deck of cards, books, just, items all around, money, stuff like that.
Do you keep the money that you take from the?
And I give to the poor. No.
Thank you for your donation this evening.
I pretend to, but yeah. Some of the goods.
Over this past year or so, I have taken a lot of the private club's online programs and I have put them online so that they're kind of on demand. You enroll and then you have access to all of the lessons. I've done that because I know that the private club pros are just so busy. It's really hard for people to find an hour to attend a live webinar or, do a course like through drip content or whatever. So I, last year launched the member communication masterclass, which is 10 core lessons and 2 bonus lessons. The member retention masterclass, also 10 lessons, 10 core lessons, 2 bonus. I just recently launched the Instagram masterclass. Same thing, 10 we got a pattern here, 10 core lessons and 2 bonus lessons. And then I have 2 mini courses, create engaging content, which is that foundation we were talking about earlier, and strategic member communication and events, which walks you through like how to plan your communication and then gives you just a ton of event ideas that you can easily execute in the club. And I'm about to launch. I'm not exactly sure the schedule. It's a matter of getting it done, is the food and beverage promotion mini course. Might not call it that, but along those lines, food and beverage. So, but the Instagram masterclass, it's really wonderful. It's for everybody, really. It's, even if you're a regular user, you feel like you're an advanced user of Instagram, you're still going to learn something new. If you're new to Instagram or you don't feel super confident using the platform, you're going to definitely learn a few things. It's really more geared toward, here's some things that maybe you didn't know about Instagram, especially like analytics. Well, what should we look for in analytics? Or what does engagement mean on the Instagram platform? What photo apps or video apps can I use to kind of help create my content? Something other than Canva. What content, is best on this particular platform. So it's a really helpful, masterclass. It's a really helpful course to kind of, polish up your skills. And then I always feel, it's there. Once you enroll in the course, you're enrolled. You always have access to it. It's on demand. So take it when it's convenient for you. And then, listeners of Private Club Radio, if you use the code PCR23, you get 10% off your enrollment. And that's for either individual courses or the bundles that I've put together. So, I've thoughtfully put together different courses that go together, So, like Instagram and create engaging content goes a little bit more in depth into the types of content that's great for clubs. So that's what I've got going on. And I'm really, it's going really well. I'm really excited to welcome folks. I'm excited to collaborate this year with Members First, and our webinar series has been really wonderful. Sean and Katie are just a delight to work with. And I'm just looking forward to, helping clubs in whatever way I can, especially when it comes to member communication, member engagement, and member retention. I just love it, So, I know the clubs struggle in those areas a little bit, and, put on my member relations hat and let's go.
It's a big hat.
It's a big hat with.
No, because I watched like how you put that. Like was a big hat. Like, that was. Well,
I guarantee you that the member relations directors or member events or member services folks are going, heck yeah, it's a big hat. That's resonating.
Well, no, like it's a very particular hat. Like I feel like it's a big hat, but like stiff and sturdy, because like you did it, like the way you held it and for like how far it was out your hands. Like
it's not a ball cap.
Like I could see it was not a ball cap, but you can tell because even just like doing this, like this is cowboy.
Yes,
like you know what I mean.
No,
like
this is the hat, and it is definitely stiff and sturdy, and it has like a bazillion decorations all over it because we bring the fun.
Okay,
right?
That's where you lost me, but okay.
The strategy and the fun, the event planners, it's engagement. It's member engagement.
The event planner's mullet.
I like that. The event planner's mullet. Too fun.
I don't know if I'm going to use that for this episode. I don't know if that's a product that we're going to come out with, but the event planner's
that would be
mullet.
Great if you could fit that on like a mug, like somehow have a member relations mug that's like the event planner mullet mug. I don't know where you would drink out of it.
Hope you all enjoyed that. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, share with somebody who you think might also enjoy it. It really goes a long way. Check out Shanna Bright on LinkedIn, as well as her website, privateclubsonline.com. That's this episode. Until next time, catch you on the flippity flip.